extraordinary business, which there is none, and therefore we're at the disposal recommendation. So Anthony, please.
So good morning. I take the report as read. I'll just quickly give a run through, especially of the other property. So the two properties have been identified as not having a current or future service use. Hiwi Crescent, as discussed, was released by Auckland Transport, not required for the Whangaparoa road widening project. AT have indicated that the road widening will occur on the other side of the road as per the transport designation 167 in the unitary plan. It is a property that is subject to offer back obligations to the former owners. We would like to proceed with that. Advice was given informally in terms of, in general, sales proceeds are used by council to fund debt or to fund regional priority projects. It was communicated via local board services, so perhaps that information wasn't sent directly to the local board. I'll follow up that with local board services directly. The other property, 30R Birmingham Crescent, it is a reserve under the Reserves Act. However, you can probably see on the photos it is used as an informal truck and car park by the adjacent businesses. Purchaser inquiry has come through for one of those property owners seeking to acquire it. The property has been assessed by Council's Parks and Open Space Policy team. It's not required, it's not providing any linkages, it's not identified in the local board's Greenway plan. No interest of cultural significance or commercial interest from iwi have been received, and the Otara Papatoetoe local board endorsed the disposal of 30R Birmingham. So any questions? I'm free to answer.
Councillor Simpson.
Yes, thank you, Mr Chair. Look, I'm just going to take up that point I made before. So according to the local board, they didn't know about the process. So maybe if we could just look at that process, Anthony, what do you think we could do better to ensure that local board have actually all the information so they don't go down a path of thinking A can happen when actually it can't at all?
Through the Chair, I do have all the three local board reports I sent to the local board in front of me. I don't want to go through them line by line. That information is always included in a local board report.
That's all I want to. Thank you. Okay.
Councillor Walker.
Yeah, so just in terms of Hiwi Crescent, and I appreciate your comment around the road widening taking place on the other side of the road. Will this sale in any way impact on an efficient and safe cycleway and walkway on the Hiwi Road side of the road? And I would note presently that Hiwi Road does give more efficient access to Surf Road in the vicinity as it stands.
Through the Chair, I'd have to defer that question to Auckland Transport. I can follow it up directly for you, not a problem.
So just, I'd suggest that that question be addressed to Auckland Transport, Mr Chair, because in the absence of an effective walkway and cycleway strategy for certainly the Whangaparoa, it would be useful for Auckland Transport to at least do some forecasting before it sells the land.
It will be passed on. As to whether it's before it's sold is another issue. Councillor Cooper?
I think that was one of my questions, because I just need to be reminded, is this now an NZTA funded project or AT or a bit of both? Penlink?
Penlink.
Both. Both? So what I would be unsure about, if this is sort of several years away, that we would be giving money to AT to sit there when we've got other more pressing go now projects which is already budgeted for. So that would be my reason I couldn't really support that, because it is so far away. But if there's going to be a process where, I mean, if Panuku have looked and asked AT and we go back again and just ask them again to make sure that it's not needed, I mean, I just have to support the fact that we've got a strategy that says we'll put money back into areas of either growth or unlock, transform or unlock, and that's what we agreed to. And when there's a new tranche of growth and unlock townships, as we have said we will be doing, I think Papakura is another one we're going to be looking at shortly. If that comes up, then any proceed of sales will go to that. But I think I feel more comfortable if we stick to our policy.
I must admit, I would recommend that we do stick to the policy, councillors. We have amended that target, what we're going to raise through surplus sales, down substantially. And we've done okay up to now, but it's now down, I think it was 970 in total way back. But whatever, it's now down to 200, so it's not as though we're pillaging and selling willy-nilly. We're getting down to really not a lot that's left. And when you look at things like marinas, where we've effectively kicked for touch for a period to do a more strategic approach to it sensibly, you know, we are getting down to small parcels of land. So, any further questions of Anthony? Well, I'm happy to move these resolutions. Do we have a seconder?
Oh,
I'm happy
no.
to second.
Councillor Fletcher and Councillor Watson.
Yeah, just very briefly to talk to the item, Mr. Chair. I acknowledge what the Mayor said in terms of policy, and that is that's the clear constraint that exists here. But I just would say that I think the appearance of the Hibiscus and Bays local board members here does signal a feeling that I've detected amongst a number of local boards where there is a bit of expectation of quid pro quo. Clearly that can't happen in this instance, but to be honest, there does seem to be a degree of not quite randomness, but distinction drawn between some proceeds service property, non-service property, and as things become tighter, I would suggest that the notion that there should be a return to the local community in some shape or form will be one that gains some greater strength. However, when it's all said and done, if we're talking about Penlink, I think Matthew came up with with the comment that will meet with the greatest warmth on the Hibiscus coast, and that is if the project timeline is sped up, and that will certainly be something that would be greatly appreciated. So in light of the constraints signalled by the Mayor and the policy, and hopefully some more positive news in terms of the timeline, notwithstanding the fact that this council has reached something of a hallmark in being the first entity to actually secure funding for this very significant project, then that'll be very welcome. So thank you for that.
Thank you, John. Are there any other comments? There's no further questions and no other comments. All right, councillors, we'll put those resolutions A and B. All those in favour? Aye. And against? No, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anthony and team, and thank you, Janet and team. Okay, we are now to the Finance Performance Committee Information Report. I think